Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Ella and today I'm very excited to be talking about all of my upcoming winter knitting project plans. I've accumulated quite a long list on Ravelry of projects that I'm really inspired by and keen to cast on, so I thought I would share that with all of you guys. Just to note, this video is going to be about my personal knitting inspiration, not necessarily like a general video catering to lots of different tastes. So yeah, just something to mention. I also actually got back from Australia yesterday because I was there celebrating Christmas with my family, and it's been quite a shock to the system coming back to Europe. I'm currently in Hungary where it is snowing and frosty and -3 degrees, which is quite a difference to the 30-degree beach days I was having in Australia. But anyway, I thought what better way to get excited about winter than to talk about knitting. So yeah, let's just get into it. The first project I'm really keen to cast on is a pair of colourwork mittens. I actually recently made Erica House's songbird mittens for my grandma for Christmas, and there's a vlog on my channel if you're curious. But I just fell in love with the process of making mittens. It was so enjoyable seeing the pattern come to life and having each row be different. It just kept me super engaged. It's also such a portable project because it's so small, so you can easily just chuck it in your bag and then whip it out on public transport or when you're waiting. So I definitely want to cast a pair of my own on so I can have that with me at all times. And I'm just debating about making the songbird mittens in another colorway for myself, or kind of venturing out and choosing a different pattern, which I think I probably will do just to keep things interesting. So a couple that I found that I really like the look of are these ones. I'll put the picture on the screen. But I just love the really simple design. Like, I don't feel like it's too overwhelming, and I feel like it'd be very easy to wear, especially in this like kind of muted colorway with the similar tones of gray. I think are really nice because from a like distance you might not even be able to tell that there's like a very noticeable pattern, but like up close I think they look really beautiful. The cuff of this pattern is also really intriguing me. Like, it almost has this like florally leafy pattern, which is kind of different from the regular crosses. I don't know if I would do this exactly or if I would just copy the cuff design that I really enjoyed from the songbird mittens. But yeah, definitely some options to play around with. I also love the thumb gusset and how it's this kind of cool diamond, and it's also very easy because it's the same pattern on both sides of the mitten, so I think it would be fairly easy to memorize. Made using fingering weight yarn and on 2.5mm needles. I won't go into all of the different specs of the patterns, but you can find my Ravelry in the description. Another pair of mittens I'm really drawn to are these ones. I think they're really funky, but also still very simple and wearable. I actually love the color choices of the project photos. The like pops of lime green I think are really cool. They're also made using 3.5mm needles, so they would work up pretty quickly for like this size garment, I think. But unfortunately, the only downside of this pattern is it is only available in Swedish. So I might have to do some Google Translate magic to, yeah, have this pattern be accessible to me. But I think it's worth it because they're so much fun. I also really want to make a pair of what I'm going to call convertible mittens, but basically mittens where you can remove the top and they be fingerless, so they're kind of like a 2-in-1, and I just think these would be super practical. They're also fun because you can pick out a button, and I found so many patterns on Ravelry, some with cables, some with ribbing, all super fun designs. But the ones I'm probably drawn to the most are these ones, which have a really cute little heart button. I want to find something similar, and I love the ribbed cuff and also the ribbing at the top of the kind of the mitten flap, I'm gonna call it. Yeah, I'm really curious how they even make the flap in the first place and how it's like attached to the mitten and all of that. So I think it would be a fun process and a fun construction to learn. Sorry if the position of my phone changed or the lighting changed. I took my dog for a walk because my phone died. But I'm back now, and let's talk about sweaters. I have become really obsessed with scrap yarn colourwork sweaters, which isn't great because I don't have a very big yarn stash, and I definitely don't have a big scrap yarn stash. But these sweaters are kind of like dream projects that I'll hopefully make one day in the future. But the first one is the Spot Sweater by Anne Wetzel. I think this is honestly the most perfect sweater I've ever seen in my life. Like, if I could make this one day, it would be my magnum opus sweater. Like, I am just so obsessed with everything about it. I love the diamond pattern of the fabric. I love all of the different colors and how they meld together. I'll put some pictures on the screen of different projects, color schemes that I particularly like, especially this red, pink, and black one. I would love to recreate something similar. In terms of the construction of this piece, it is knitted from the top down. It has raglan increases, and you work rows back and forth to shape the neck. It's knit on 4.5mm needles using DK weight yarn, and it also includes a folded collar and twisted rib. All techniques I've never done before, but we'll learn eventually. And it also includes men's sizes as well. Another sweater I love is this one by Thea Vesterby, I think her name is. This is a similar sweater in the sense that it's worked top down and has raglan increases, but it has this really striking like geometric design, and I love how simple it is, but how like much of a punch it packs. I just think this is really cool and interesting, and I don't think it would be too difficult in terms of like, you know, memorizing the color work design. It's just pretty much, you know, repeated lines. And I think you can be so creative with the colors you choose, and there's just like a lot of flexibility and fun with this sweater. I think the next sweater was actually the first sweater that got me into this like scrappy color work projects. And this is the Movement sweater by Lily Kate France, but specifically I was really drawn to this version of it she made using all of her scraps of mohair. I think she said that sometimes she would use like very weird combinations, to use up her scraps and just experiment. So I think that would just be like so much fun, but again, I don't have just a bunch of mohair scraps lying around. I also love the construction of it. It is worked using raglan increases, but also with like this eyelet detail that continues down the body. And I think it just is a really interesting twist on a otherwise fairly classic and simple sweater. So yeah, this is also on my list to make even just as a simple one block colored sweater. Moving on to more realistic color work sweaters for me, since I don't have a huge stash yarn collection and lots of colorful yarn. The first on my list and the top of my list is the Porcelain sweater by Lynette. I think it is so classic but so dainty and beautiful. I really love the color combination of the beige and the blue. I think the blue really pops and is just so rich and beautiful. So if I was to make this, I would probably do the same or very similar color combination. I do also like the look of having the colors not be so contrasting, but I feel like if you're putting all that effort in to do this color work, I think it's worth it to have it really show off. I've only ever made one sweater using 7mm needles, so something like this is quite intimidating to me, but since I've done the color work mittens, I feel like I'm ready to start like a color work sweater, and I'm sure I would enjoy it. I love that the 3 bands of color work are different, just to like keep it fun and engaging. Another sweater by the same designer that I really want to make is the terracotta sweater. Again, the color combinations are just so perfect and beautiful. I love this one as well. I love the texture between the color work bands. This is also a fingering weight top down sweater. It's very similar to the other design by Lynette. The final color work sweater I'm really keen to knit is the Norma sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I think I like looking at all these patterns side by side. I'm realizing that I really like color work bands, like having horizontal kind of striped patterns. So that's something to note for future me. My Favorite Things Knitwear describes this as like a 60s or 70s inspired pattern, which I think is really interesting, and I don't feel like I have anything in my wardrobe quite like it. I also really love the high mock neckline. I don't have any sweaters, I think, that are like a high mock or turtleneck. So I think this would be a great addition to my wardrobe for that reason as well. Moving on from color work projects, a sweater I've been really keen to make is the Nell sweater by Georgia Fibers. Like I said, I don't have any like kind of higher neck sweaters, so I'm really keen to make one. And I think that this is just a really beautiful take. I think it's really clever the way that the ribbing kind of almost works with the raglan increases. I think that's a really clever design. I also appreciate that the ribbing is not too narrow. I like the wider panels. I think that looks very sleek. And it is knitted up using a lace weight mohair, but on 5mm needles. So I think it would be a very light and airy and just drapey fabric. I haven't made any knits with all over ribbing, so I think this would be a great project to really practice that. If I was to make this, I would use like a really icy blue. I think that would be super fun, and it would go well with like the fuzziness of the mohair and like the light cloud-like fabric. Speaking of clouds, this is such a stupid segue, but another sweater I want to make is the Cloud Blouse by Petite Knit. I want to make this for similar reasons. I just love like the drapiness of it, and like it just really does look like a fluffy cloud. It looks like it'd be so soft and comfortable. This is knit using 2 strands of mohair to be a DK weight project. It's knit on 4mm needles. I'd also be intrigued to make this out of like an icy blue as well, or some sort of like really pale pastel. I have worked with Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair, and I did really enjoy it. It's very luxurious and lovely. I don't know if I can really afford a sweater quantity of that yarn, but Knitting for Olive just has the most beautiful color selection. I just love looking and ogling at all of the beautiful yarn. Moving on to cardigans and jackets, I only have 2 in this category. The first is the Vivian sweater by Kiss Kiss Rhinestones. This is such an interesting design. I love how the wide raglan increases kind of work with the 2x2 ribbing. I think it just gives such a cool and interesting construction to the piece. This pattern is recommended for intermediate to advanced knitters, so I probably won't be attempting this for a while, just kind of admiring it from afar for now. Like, for example, includes Japanese short rows, which I didn't even know were a thing, and I still haven't got German short rows down. So yeah, a piece I won't be attempting for a while yet. Project that's probably the top of my list, like I literally went into the wool shop thinking of what to buy for this, is the cardigan number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is a saddle shoulder construction knitted with these beautiful wooden buttons, which I think are so stunning. I would make it in almost exactly the same color. I'd probably go for a cooler red though, because cooler tones are my sort of thing. And I'm wearing red and I think I would get a lot of wear out of it. It's made knit using an Aran weight yarn on, I think, 5mm needles or 4mm needles. I also knit one sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear, so I'm kind of a bit familiar with how they write patterns, so I feel like that's also enticing me a little bit. The final cardigan is this Camilla cardigan. I have never attempted anything like lacy like this, so that would be a fun first for me. I also love that it's kind of sheer and dainty. It's just super pretty. I also love the like iridescent pearl buttons. Like, I would love to find something exactly like this if I was to make it. This is made using 2 strands of mohair held together and 5mm needles. It is knit from the bottom up, so I've never tried that construction before. I don't love the sound of a bottom-up construction. I feel like it makes it difficult to try the garment on. Since I love making colourwork mittens so much, I'm sure that I will also love making colourwork socks once I get the whole construction down. But a couple that I have in mind, the first is these chaussettes homard. I think that's supposed to be French, but I cannot pronounce that. These are just the cutest socks ever. Like, I think I would be so happy if I was wearing these on my feet every day. They just have such a fun little crab and lobster motif. Like, I can't imagine why anyone would not find these adorable. I don't even know which I prefer, the crab or the lobster. I would think I would have to make 2 pairs. I would just have to. I'd have to have both, the lobster and the crab. But yeah, I don't feel like I need to even say much more about these. They kind of speak for themselves. The socks I might start my sock knitting journey off with might be these. They're the Sunday socks by Petite Knit. They are worked in 2x2 ribbing for most of the sock, I think, and they're worked top down from the cuff to the toe. These are knit on 4mm needles, so they would definitely be quicker than the other projects I was looking at. And yeah, I think I would get a lot of wear out of these, even if they just became house socks. They look super cozy and comfy. They're a bit loose almost in the project photos around the cuff, but I think that would make them super comfortable and just loungy. Final socks on my radar are the yoga socks by Hikebus. I recently got into doing yoga again. I did like the 30-day challenge yoga with Adrienne. I did last year's version for 30 days straight, and then I haven't done yoga since. But I would really love to get back into it because it just made me feel so good doing it. And I know Yoga with Adrienne comes out with a new 30-day yoga challenge every year. So 2025 is the time to start. And I just think these are really fun. And, you know, it's less knitting because you don't have to knit the toe and you don't have to knit the heel. But I do think I would get lots of wear out of them, and I'm thinking of maybe joining some yoga classes, and that would be really fun to take with me. And it's also a free pattern, which is always nice. For the last category of knits, I have been looking at a couple different patterns for knit skirt, but the first is the skirt number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. First is the skirt number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This looks like quite a simple tube, but it actually has German short row shaping so that the back is longer than the front. It also has a waistband to keep it, you know, secure, and it is shaped with increases and has apparently a A-line cut. So that is super intriguing to me. I don't come across many knit patterns that are for bottom wear. I don't know if that's a word, but I think that would be fun to try out. And then you could wear a full knit setup. You could have knit bottoms, knit top, you could chuck on a knit hat, knit gloves, knit socks. You could have a full knit outfit. Yeah, I think this would just look so chic with some knee-high boots. And it would also be fun to work with a variegated yarn, just like, especially because you're working so much stockinette. I think it would keep it interesting and to, yeah, really show it off with a simple design like this. This is worked using 5mm needles and an Aran weight yarn. The only other skirt that I came across was the Chima skirt by Egyo Knit. Don't know if I'm saying that right. It is a wrap skirt and it is knit using broken rib stitch. I love the like texture that the broken rib gives and also the charcoal grey that's used in the project photos. I would love to just have this exact garment in my cupboard. So yeah, maybe I will attempt it. This is also a very recent pattern. It came out this January. So I'm really excited to see other people's variations of this because currently there are no projects out on Ravelry. And yeah, that brings me to the end of this video. I feel like I've been talking for like 4 hours. This has just taken me a long time to film because my phone died, I ran out of storage multiple times, I had to like figure out what I was saying. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, where you can hopefully see some of these projects actually made by me and finished. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.